Hi, my name is Karl. This is Karl Donnelly's PCT. This is the channel all about simple sales tips for beginners. And on this episode of Sales Tips for Beginners, we've got 4 simple closing tips for beginners to try. So I'll go through them now, and some feedback would be great. If you could like, subscribe, share, that would be fantastic too. So here we go. So this is tip number 1 of how to close a customer. Pretty easy steps as well you could put into your sales just to kind of give you that extra edge, get the extra numbers in, and obviously you can develop these better and better as you go along. But here's tip number 1, is called pre-closing. Now this is the close before the close, and I think it's a really good tool to use. So how do you pre-close? So to pre-close a customer, you ask them closing questions before you ask for the business. So normally at the end of a call, you'd say to a customer, so you're happy to go ahead with that? Is that something that you can get on board on? With this is, you're kind of testing that before you ask it. So for example, you might say to the customer, say the customer says, you know, I'm leaving because I've had bad service in the past. So you're kind of talking to the customer, you're going through the call, you're helping them out with that service, you're telling them about the new service that you have available, the service that's much better than the previous service that you got. Now a pre-close might be, so Mr. Customer, you did mention that one of the reasons why you're leaving is because you've had bad service in the past. Now I've obviously explained to you the good service that we can give to you in the future, which is much better than that service in the past, so it kind of takes that problem away. Is that something you can get on board with? Now the customer will say one of 2 things, yes or no. If he says yes, you've pre-closed him. If he says no, you may have to dig a little deeper. So for instance, he says yes, you then go and potentially ask for the business. Or you might try 1 or 2 more pre-closes just to make sure you have the close ready for when you're actually asking for the business. Now, another good one would be if the customer says, oh, I'm leaving because of price. So you might say to the customer, okay, I can understand why you would leave, you know, you're getting it much cheaper elsewhere, but cheap isn't always great. So what you do is you explain the benefits, why he's spending more with your company. Now this could be for anything, could be for gas, electric, could be for broadband, it could be a number of different things. But you say to him, you know, the reason why we're more expensive is because we do this, this and that, you know, so you explain the benefits. Now it comes to the call and his customer's still not buying and he's still not willing to stay because the price is the be all and end all. You start to lower your price in increments. So you go down a couple of quid each time. Don't just drop down to your lowest price because you need to keep some of that back. Now what you can do is you can say, okay, Mr. Customer, we've got the price that you want and the service that you want. The 2 things you said that, you know, you weren't happy with, we've fixed them issues. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't stay with us as a company? They're the 2 things you mentioned. I've managed to fix them. Is that something you can get on board with now? Today. So that's another pre-close. So there's 2 examples of pre-close, and you're getting the customer to say yeah before you fully really ask for the business. Okay, so tip number 1 on how to close for beginners is pre-closing. Okay, close number 2, and my favourite close. This is the one I use probably 8-9 times out of 10. It's the assumptive close. So what is the assumptive close? The assumptive close is when you ask for the business, so you've explained everything. You have told them the benefits. You have the customer eating out of your hand. The customer's really happy to sign back up with you. The customer's happy to buy your product, buy into you. So the assumptive close is just to finish this off. What you say is, okay, so we'll put that on your account. Or I'll send that out to you. Or would you like that in red, green? Let's go ahead with that today. So you're telling the customer you're going to do it. Not a fact of, oh, would it be okay if I put this on your account? Is this something you could get on board with? You know, if it's not too much trouble, can I add this on? No, you're being assumptive. Let's get that done for you today, sir. Or let's get that done for you today, miss. You know, you're being very assumptive, you're pushing it on the customer, you're telling the customer that you're going to do it. So that's the assumptive close, and it's probably my favourite kind of close. Now, you can, if you add the pre-close and the assumption close together, that is a winning tool. So I normally do a few pre-closes. So if we can get that sorted for you, is that something that you can come on board with? Customer says, yeah, you know where you stand. Okay, let's add that to your account then. You happy with that yet? Brilliant. That's the assumptive clause. So that's a really powerful tool. Just a quick break from the video. If you could like, subscribe and share my video, that would be fantastic. It really does help, and it means a lot to me and everybody that already has done it. But if you could just give this the thumbs up and subscribe, that would be fantastic. So back to the video. Tip number 3. Now this is quite a good option if the other two don't work. Sometimes you have to use this clause. This clause is called the optional clause, the option clause. So you're giving the customer 2 or 3 options. I would normally stick with 2 because 3 if you give a customer 3 options, a lot of the times they go away and think about it. If you give them 2 options, they generally pick one or the other. So for instance, we'll make it as simple as anything. So what's your favourite colour? Is it red or is it blue? A lot of customers, even if that's not their favourite colour, they'll pick one, red or blue, because you've asked them, what's your favourite colour? So they assume that, okay, which is the option that I'm going to pick out of these 2. So for instance, do you want to buy this Ford Mondeo or do you want to buy this Porsche? You know, a lot of times the customer will pick which one he wants to buy. Now normally, the reason why I gave you that example, because there's 2 completely different cars and completely different prices as well, that is a good tool. If you cannot get someone to close, offer them the product for £26 or £28, whatever it may be, then offer them a cheaper alternative for £21. So would you like to go with the one that's £26.99? Or would you like to go, everything is the same benefits, slightly different, but this one's £21.99. Which one would you like to go with? The customer's like, well, obviously I'm going to go for the one for £21.99. Now this was a customer you weren't closing like a few minutes ago, but now, because you've given them options, you've now turned into a possibility that you'll close that sale. So that's the option clause. You give the customer the option to do what, just to kind of pick one, you know. Now you can do the option clause and then do the assumptive clause. So, okay, so do you want the one for £21.99 or the one for £26.99? He says, I like the one for £21.99. Okay, we'll get that done for you. That is the option clause. Okay, so clause number 4, the urgency clause. Now this clause can be used in loads of different sales, and most people use it. It's great if a customer says that I have to ring back or I need to speak to my wife. You need to put urgency into the clause, whether that's the speed that you're speaking, the tonality that you're speaking, or if that is actually you're telling the customer, okay, we have this price now, just say for example $25.99, we have this price available for you now, but if you go away and speak to the wife, you call back in tomorrow, that might not be there. The prices change all the time. So the urgency clause is you're putting urgency on the customer to make a decision there and then. Now, if you're selling something like a bigger ticket, like gas, electric, something that cannot really be done on one call because you might need information sent back and forth to each other, you can use the urgency clause to close the different parts of the interactions you have with the customer. They'll close in different parts of the call. Basically, if you're selling bigger ticket items, sometimes it might take 2 or 3 different calls to close that call. So, to close that sale. So you can't just close it in one 3 or 4 minute call or 10-15 minute call. It has to be, customer has to get information, you have to call them back, you have to email, you have to follow up, you might have to have a meeting, you might have to go for lunch, something like that. So some big ticket items cannot be sold on the one. So the urgency, you have to understand is that you have to put urgency in each of one of your calls, but to get the next task done. So in your head, if you need, say, 3 tasks to close the call, put the urgency on the end of each task and make sure you get that task done, tick it off. Next time you speak to them, get the next task done, tick it off, and then you try to close the call. So urgency might be, listen, I need you to send that back because I'm in a meeting at 2 o'clock and I'd like to get it done now. If you could just pop it back straight away, that would be fantastic. Or another one would be, I need it back by 1 o'clock. Is it okay if I haven't received that at 1 o'clock, I can just give you a quick phone call just to, because I know you're a busy man, just to make sure that, you know, it's getting done. Okay, so that's putting urgency in your call. So that's tip number 4, putting urgency in your call. So just to finish on, we have the 4 closing tips for beginners. So 4 easy tips just to follow so you can make your sales game a little bit better. Just to recap, the first close we had was the pre-close. So that's where you're telling the customer, or you're asking the customer before the close. You're slightly asking for business before you actually ask for the business. So you're saying, Okay, so if we can fix this issue, would that be something you can get on board with? So that's the pre-close. Now, the assumptive close, which is my favourite, as I said, is you're telling the customer you're going to do this. So I'm going to put this in your account. This is a product that I think will benefit you. Will we go? Should we go ahead with that? Yeah. Then you have the optional close where you're giving them A or B, so they'll pick one. Normally, if you give them one option, they might say no, or they might say they need to think about it. If you give them two options, they normally pick one or two. They'll pick one of your options. If you give them three options, I found it in my own kind of, experience that customers actually go away and think about it, because you've given them a third product. It's kind of scrambled something in your mind where you say, no, I need to think about that. But if you give them two, it's nice and simple. I'll pick A or B. Now, the urgency clause is tip number 4, and that is, listen, I need you to make a decision here. I've got a meeting at 2 o'clock. I need that information back. Or I've got a tender going through with 20 different businesses. I'd like to put your consumption on that as well. I need this back for 2 o'clock because I will be putting it together at 2. I'll be sending it at 2:30, so I need it back at 2 o'clock at the latest. Or, I'm going into a meeting at 1 o'clock. Is it okay if I ring it at 12:30 if I still haven't received it? Just to make sure it gets done so I can bring it up in this meeting at 1 o'clock. That's the urgency clause. You need to sometimes, you need to put urgency on everything. But, it's perfect when someone says, I need to think about it. I need to speak to the wife, I need to speak to the business partner. Get some urgencies on it. So that's 4 tips, 4 sales techniques to close. I hope this is helpful. Please like, subscribe, share. Until next Friday, we'll have another video coming out, and that'll be another sales video. I will put all my sales videos in a playlist, so you can just watch one after another. So last week, if you remember, it was 5 tips for beginners in sales, and this is 4 tips for beginners in closing sales. So slightly different, but hopefully these tips will help you. Let me know in the comments as well if anybody's actually put these into practice and if they have worked for you. And as I say, tomorrow's always a new day. We start again on a blank sheet. You've got to forget about the day before, and you've got to go into the day like a bull in a china shop, and you've really got to put the effort in. If you want to make money, if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a car, if you want to be successful, that's what you've got to do. Tomorrow's a new day, so let's go and smash it. Until next time, cheerio.